Hi, my dear Astro family. Today I'm here to speak about one of the major sign changes, actually, which is happening in December, and that's going to be Mars moving into Sagittarius. The other major sign change will be Jupiter moving into Pisces finally, and that's going to be happening sometimes at the end of the year, around the 27th, 28th of December, but I will be making a separate video about that. Now, a couple of announcements. One of them is that Venus will be moving retrograde on the 19th of December, and it will be actually making a conjunction to Pluto 3 times. Now, one of the conjunction is actually happening on the 11th of December. The next one will be on the 25th of December, and the last conjunction will be at the beginning of March. Now, we tend to be afraid of retrograde planets. However, I don't think we should. So therefore, I decided to make a webinar about Venus retrogrades and what type of shapes they are actually drawing in the sky when they are doing these type of movements. Venus retrograde connects to an 8-year cycle because Venus tends to be going retrograde every 8 years in the very same sign, and Venus only goes retrograde in 5 signs. So we will be actually exploring the Venus retrograde meanings and how actually we can make some type of predictions with that. So if you are interested in that webinar, it's going to be a good 4 or 5 hours, then please check out on my website, AstroViktor.com, and then you can actually sign up for it. It's going to be on the 18th of December. Now, let me just remind you that those who are actually part of the subscription plan, basically part of my astrology community, then this webinar is actually free of charge for you, even though it's not 1.5 hours like I usually promise. It's going to be a good 4 and 5 hours, but I decided to give it free of charge for those people. And the other announcement is that, of course, you can still sign up for my for my membership zone, so you can check it out on my website. And this weekend, I'm also going to be holding a talk about Fedaria, which is a very simple timing technique, but it's quite effective when we actually start combining that with different type of timing techniques, such as transit, for instance. Fedaria is something which is actually talking to you about life chapters. So it's very similar to the Dasha system in Vedic astrology. So we are going to be exploring that this Saturday, 4 p.m. Sofia, Bulgaria time. So if you are not part of my membership zone, but you would like to take this webinar, then go ahead and check it out on my website. Now, let's get started with Mars in Sagittarius. We should do that with plenty of enthusiasm because that's exactly what Mars in Sagittarius talks about. So we've got a fiery planet in a fiery sign. So this is actually a great placement for Mars. Of course, Mars has been in the sign of Scorpio, where he has got rulership going on, and that was brilliant. But Mars in Scorpio is a little bit more of a researcher, more of a kind of like an introspective type of energy. It wants to kind of sweep out everything, whatever is not needed anymore, so I can be ready for the adventure ahead of me. And that's really Mars in the sign of Sagittarius. So a fiery planet in a fiery sign, we've got so much fire going on, and fire is all about purification. It's about spirituality, as well as something to do with kind of like sanitization in a sense. Now, this Sagittarius is more the mutable version, the double-bodied version of the fire energies. So imagine that there is a little bit of a wind blowing and the fire, the flame is going, sideways a little bit. So I don't really know where to go. And Mars, which is, think about a knife. So the knife is pointed, right? The knife actually cuts through. We know that what we want to achieve with a knife. So Mars is quite a focused planet. So Mars can become a little bit scattered here, actually. Now, We should not forget that Mars being in the sign of Sagittarius means that it reports eventually to Jupiter, because there is that guest and host relationship going on, which I have been talking about in each of my videos, so probably you learned it by now. But the fact that Jupiter is actually in a fixed sign, that's not really beneficial for Mars. So some of the negative traits of Mars can be coming out, because Mars is all about initiation. It's all about go-getting, adventure, and that the host, the ruler of the sign is in a fixed energy, which means that it slows down. So Jupiter wants to slow Mars down a little bit. And that could be sometimes a little bit of a clash of energy between these two. So we do need to be mindful about that. Of course, if a planet feels limited, like Jupiter does currently, Jupiter has no strength in the sign of Aquarius anymore. It had by term a couple of weeks ago, but those have gone already. So Jupiter is actually a peregrine planet at the moment, which indicates that it feels like an alien in a sense. Peregrine planets are like wanderers. Yes, I'm going from 1 to 2. I don't know what path I'm taking. And it can feel a little bit frustrated. So Mars will feel a little bit frustrated as well. Mars will become a little bit agitated overall. Now, Sagittarius is something to do with your belief system. That's your higher philosophical learning. It talks about travel, foreign countries, foreign cultures, overall foreign matters. But it is also the sign which deals with any type of visa questions, how I can travel to a country, how long can I stay for, can I actually settle down somewhere? But the higher manifestation of Sagittarius is all about providing guidance to something. It's about learning something about yourself or sharing something with someone else also. So that's where the teaching element comes in with Sagittarius, like teaching at the university. Sagittarius has got this broadened type of, it wants to broaden things to start with, and then secondly, it wants to kind of touch the heart of others as well. Now think about Sagittarius as the archer. So it shoots the arrow, and then it goes, and then it lands somewhere. We never know where the arrow is going to be landing. So there is that risk-taker, adventurous quality to Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is a masculine sign, Mars is a masculine planet. However, Jupiter is not as masculine as, for instance, Mars or the Sun, because Jupiter's qualities are hot and wet. And the full masculine energy is about hot and dryness. So this could also bring a little bit of a clash between Sagittarius and Mars, but overall this is a very positive constellation. Even though Mars tends to do better a little bit in the other two fire signs, such as Leo and Aries. Now, Mars represents the energy we have, or where we tend to be putting our energy. So it's very possible that we're going to be fighting for our opinion, or we're going to stand up and then we're going to become very opinionated. It's about fighting and defending your belief system. This could actually represent things like you're going to have, because Mars gets up every single morning to become Capricorn in a sense. So it's very motivated to achieve something. And because Sagittarius is the sign one before Capricorn, I kind of feel like it's a preparation phase, what we want to be achieving later on. So we might be coming up with plenty of ideas. We might be very motivated. We pump up our vein and you know, we really want to get going with things. So, but this is the period of time when we should be reading books about certain subjects, or we should be actually getting some ideas of how I'm going to get there. Sagittarius talks about import and export related matters. So maybe you come up with the idea that, you know what, I want to be doing some business dealing in an international way. Remember that Sagittarius broaden things. So the key idea here is that why am I limiting something? What is my limiting belief system? And Mars wants to kind of pry that up. So in a business world, this could be actually indication that, you know what? I'm not going to be limiting myself anymore when it comes to selling things. I'm going to go international. I'm going to try my own luck. Because both Mars and Sagittarius are risk takers. And risk means there is no winning if I don't try at least. Yes, there is the possibility of becoming very overconfident, very confident, with Mars being in the sign of Sagittarius, and therefore it's easy to fall back or fall down. But Mars here has got the strength to kind of stand up and then start again. Or this could actually indicate that, you know what, there are people around you who are trying to push you to your limits, and you're going to kind of get tired of that and you want to be standing up against it. Now, Mars actually, which represents kind of like, you know, that argumentative energy, the anger, the frustration, kind of like the demonstrative Mars, it's very possible that teachers are going to go on strike, or students are going to go on strike, such as universities, kind of like the young adults overall, because they want to be defending their opinion. They want to be heard, understood. They want their viewpoint to be looked at somehow. You know, Mars is very self-reliant. It wants to be proving strength. Mars represents the weapons or tools because it is a warrior. It is a hero who kind of wants to save the home country overall. It always wants to get ahead. It wants to win the battle. So Mars has got the ability here to kind of understand the dynamics of the competitors overall. It has got the ambition in the sign of Sagittarius to how to get ahead in life. It wants to be achieving something. Mars in Sagittarius is appearing in plenty of politicians' charts, for instance, because they are defending something. Now, of course, the silver lining of this is that we can get into political debates, and we're going to be going very far, Sagittarius, to actually prove our point. And of course, it can end up as a messy situation. So some political arguments between two countries is actually very possible also. Now, Jupiter in Sagittarius is about also me wanting to guide someone without them asking for it. And sometimes Mars in Sagittarius becomes a little bit provocative, like poking with ideas and ideology and words. Sometimes it becomes very sarcastic. And of course, it depends on the other party, how they take it. Because Mars in Sagittarius is like a motivational speaker. I want to get the best out of those people. But not everyone is asking for it. So especially those who might have got, let's say, Pisces rising sign or any type of water rising sign, they need to be watching out for guiding people through in forceful ways. It could have a little bit of a danger to it. Mars in Sagittarius is very good for sport activities. So if you are planning to start anything, especially like horse riding or any type of adventurous type of sport activities, like I'm going to jump off the cliff and so forth, because Mars is the adrenaline. And in the sign of Sagittarius, it's like I'm hungry for that kind of energy boost, what that jumping off the cliff can give me. Mars in Sagittarius is kind of like that soldier type of teacher. So it thinks, it strategizes, it comes up with a kind of like an escape plan as well at the same time. It tries to look at things at every single angle possible. It is very possible that there is going to be kind of like fighting for religion or against religious beliefs. Now, I just recently heard that there was this pastor who appeared in a drag queen show because he kind of wants to unite people, believing that everyone has got equal rights in a sense. And that person got kind of excused from his duties as a church representative. And this is so Mars in Sagittarius. I'm just wondering how far this situation will go, actually. Imagine Mars being in the sign of Sagittarius, like be a soldier in the jungle. So kind of like, you know, how I'm going to survive, but I'm going to be very optimistic, very kind of having faith in myself. So Mars survival instincts kind of gets revived in the sign of Sagittarius. No problem. I'm gonna go and do fishing. I'm gonna build a little bit of you know, a home, or I'm gonna be hunting for animals. No problem. So sometimes Mars in Sagittarius has got that nomad type of style of living. It wants to travel, it wants to try new things, it wants to get to know different cultural backgrounds overall. Now, Mars in the sign of Sagittarius, from that religious point of view, because Mars can be egotistical, or Mars is actually following its own truth. So here, Mars wants to kind of create his own religion. And that could be the little bit of a danger, because sometimes what it indicates is that I'm not going to be listening to other people's opinion. So definitely it can get into debate easily. Mars in Sagittarius, you know what, I'm not going to go to school. What's the point? I'm going to study on my own. Because I can actually do that. You know, they just want to be forcing things onto me, some type of knowledge, which I don't really associate myself with. So sometimes Mars in Sagittarius can become a little bit self-righteous. Definitely Mars here wants to experience fun. You know what comes really to my mind with this jungle analogy and survival instinct, like the get me out of celebrity show, really. Of course, it's a competition, very Mars. It kind of is in a jungle, which is Sagittarius related, you know, the survival instinct, all this type of danger, risk-taking. Brilliant description of how I kind of imagine Mars in the sign of Sagittarius. Mars in Sagittarius is very opinionated, so you're going to have to look out how you actually sound when you speak to others. Unfortunately, on a world scale, this could talk about terrorism, because Mars in Sagittarius has got that very high moral code, really, and I want to be actually protecting my moral code. Mars rules guns. Sagittarius is like the archery. So this could be a Mars where, you know, demonstrations, political debates, and all those type of things are, or could be on the horizon in the next 6 weeks. Mars will be spending 6 weeks here. It will be entering the sign of Sagittarius on the 13th of December. Maybe till the 28th of December, while Jupiter is in the sign of Aquarius, it has got a little bit more of a kind of like dangerous period. And after, I think things can slow down a little bit, because Jupiter will be in Pisces. It's like the ocean. Imagine that Mars is trying to swim in the ocean. It's gonna get tired eventually. So moral codes, protecting those are very important, and Mars usually use aggression to actually do that. This is about fighting for freedom. I want to be traveling, and then I feel that you guys are blocking me, so I'm just going to stand up about it. So definitely travel restrictions somehow going to be in the picture with this Mars in Sagittarius. Mars represents things what motivates you. Actually, that's your sexual hunger also. And Sagittarius is blessing, luck, overall. So you can be blessed if you feel that your sexual life is not really good, for instance, or you might actually start looking at what is my life purpose, where I want to be in 2 years' time, for instance, because both planets are very future oriented. Both the sign and the planet are very future orientated. So one of the downfall of this is that it's going to be a little bit harder to stay in present because I always look forward what to do next. So don't get lost, kind of. It's not about getting lost in the moment. It's about looking forward, planning ahead a little bit. So you can have luck in sex, you can have luck in dating. You might want to be finding out your life purpose, and then you start connecting with spiritual gurus. That's very Sagittarius. Or you might become very motivated to speak a foreign language. Or you know what? I'm going to move somewhere else, as in Sagittarius relocation. And Mars can actually represent relocation as well, because that's the hero who is leaving his family behind to kind of try luck. So you might become very motivated to move somewhere, and I want to be learning a foreign language so I can actually communicate with those people, because the motivation Mars for the motivation for Mars in the sign of Sagittarius is all about connecting and understanding the spiritual and kind of physical values of foreign people. So, but of course, we can easily get scattered with Mars in a mutable sign. So I've got so many ideas of where to go, and I can't really pick. You might decide that I want to be hiking, or, you know, I want to be trying different type of food. For instance, I'm going to try how a snail tastes like, for instance, and I've never done that before. So some of your adventurous side could kick off quite nicely. You can have a strong craving for freedom, fun, adventure. You might want to try skiing or exploring the neighborhood, or you might become more interested in studying history, for instance. Because that's very Sagittarius as well, also Cancer too. Sagittarius talks about truth. So it's either about fighting for your own truth or trying to investigate the truth. Now, Mars has done plenty of investigations in the last 6 weeks while it was in the sign of Scorpio. So now I want to kind of expose the truth. In a sense, it is a good position for publishing. You might be actually having a legal battle overall, or we might be hearing about legal battles a lot more in the news, which is actually very possible, to be frank. I've read that 3 countries ruled against COVID passports, these certificate entry type of things. So in the next 6 weeks, maybe a couple of other countries will also join, because Jupiter, the dispositor of Mars, is in the sign of Aquarius, which talks about equality, kind of like social justice. So we might see some type of improvement around that. Watch out, because you can easily get into arguments with your teachers or with your mentors, even with your lawyers, because Sagittarius rules the knowledgeable people who use their kind of like university knowledge on an everyday basis. You know, let's not forget Mars is a malefic planet. So Mars being strong in a sign, it kind of allows Mars to be who he wants to be. And Mars loves causing conflict. So this could be a conflictuous position for Mars, surely, especially if you feel that you are told to believe in something, or you are told to do something, and then Mars becomes very frustrated. You know, when we are talking about belief system, basically imagine that Sagittarius is more about, with Mars there, forcing your belief system onto others, while Gemini Mars is more about kind of like communicating about your belief system in a more aggressive way. Sagittarius rules your dreams also. So it's very possible that with Mars, we want to be accomplishing our dreams. Mars is the planet of depression. So it's very possible that you are going to feel unsure about your future. And that makes you feel sad, or even an internal kind of dialogue, which you're going to be having with yourself. It could actually indicate travel problems. So I want to go somewhere and then I cannot really go somewhere. So I kind of urge you to not to book any tickets at the moment, especially out of anger. Be a little bit more strategic about it. Look around if everything is safe to do so. Unfortunately, the very negative manifestation of Mars in Sagittarius is about kind of like sexual abuse by occult or religious matters. You can easily have some type of psychic attacks, which you feel someone is trying to give you a message and then you don't really know how to actually handle that. Whatever kind of Jupiter touches, or whatever planet we have in the sign of Sagittarius, that planet can become very overconfident. So you might want to be looking at, okay, what Mars rules in my chart, and then you can overdo things there. So let's say I want to be, let's say Mars rules your second house and I want to be investing money into something. You know, maybe I put too much, okay? Or maybe I'm going to start spending a lot more money if Mars rules your second house. Mars becomes a little bit like the sharer in the sign of Sagittarius. So sharing as in knowledge, sharing opinion, sharing your belief system. It wants to teach this time around. But of course, as I mentioned, Mars can become, you know, a little bit self-righteous here. Now, another little problem is that, as I mentioned, Mars is kind of like pointed. It knows where it's going. But Sagittarius is more about broad, being broad, diversity overall. So this could be a little bit of an issue, the focus or being diverse about something. And then, of course, this can lead to some type of arguments overall. Now, you know, while Mars is in the sign of Saggy, it's about we wanting to reach, to expand and to explore. We want to even go further as we have ever done it before. It is about looking beyond your present limitations and kind of like realizing the vast possibilities and opportunities that might be available for us. So it's very much about kind of using your third eye in a sense, because Sagittarius always has got a vision. And now you have got the drive to turn that vision into something real, actually. It's very possible that you're going to be approaching your obstacles more in an optimistic way. You entering some type of new territory with confidence. You know, Mars in Sagittarius is like, let's suppose, I give you an example, maybe a silly example, but it might portray it very well, what I'm trying to say. Imagine that, for instance, you want to go through the jungle and then you know that there are bears and dragons there and all those type of things. I can get through that jungle in, I don't know, 20 minutes, or I can go around, which is going to be taking me 2 days. Now, Mars in Sagittarius definitely will choose going through that jungle to reach the other side of it in 20 minutes rather than walking for 2 days, okay? So this is really Mars in kind of Sagittarius. And of course, what Mars in Sagittarius should be doing this time around, that I'm going to be listening to my intuition, to the divine Sagittarius, so that I can get some type of additional details. but Mars here is not so focused. So it's not necessarily paying attention to the signs, it's just thinking about what comes next. So that's why I kind of recommend slow down with booking a ticket, for instance, or or whatever you want to be adventurous about, because it can backfire in a sense. Now, just to summarize, some of the positive strength or positive attributes of Mars being in a sign of Sagittarius is that, yes, I'm gonna fight for justice. I am very cheerful and optimistic. Yes, I'm gonna do sport activities. I wanna be physically strong and resilient. I feel lucky. And it's about the mental perception. If I feel lucky, I'm gonna start attracting luck as well. And I'm going to be fearless no matter what. I'm going to jump into those new territories. The negative ones that we become self-righteous, we become overconfident, we become argumentative, careless, restless, and maybe you not necessarily commit to things easily. So you might want to be actually just thinking about those. Mars is the planet of aggression and anger. So when Mars is in the sign of Sagittarius, we can become very impatient. We can have a fiery temper overall. And of course, that's not always looking too good, basically. You might become very free-spirited. You don't necessarily, you're going to have less inhibitions, and you just want to be taking pleasure. So you might actually meet new people, you connect with foreign people, and then you're going to enjoy the company of those, because you might want to be around non-judgmental people. Yeah. So guys, this is my interpretation on Mars in Sagittarius for the upcoming 6 weeks. Thank you for being with me, and I will see you again, probably with Jupiter in Pisces video. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.